and then you plug in. Chelsea will look and say, oh, we have a weak right back, and then they will go to the transfer market and bring a quality right back to fill that position. Then you realize, oh, they now have a solid defense. And then they will look at, oh, we have a problem in defensive midfield. Let's bring look at how they recruited Moise Caicedo, Malo Gusto. Yeah. I mean, they realized it's not like Reece James was not doing fine, but it's been going on injury, and they have had to improvise, bring a player that doesn't even play at right back to play at right back, and they feel like, okay, we need a backup to Reece James. And now look at Reece James, he's back, but he seldomly or rarely plays as a right back anymore. Yeah. Sometimes you find him in midfield while Malo Gusto does the job as a right back in the team. And when they feel that there has to be a tactical change in the team, it goes back to right back. Malo Gusto goes out. Someone comes in to play as a DM or maybe as a creative midfielder in the team. That is how a coach does tactical changes on the field of play while still maintaining the same 11. But here in Africa, it's a little bit difficult to understand. But there are some countries who now they have done a little bit of advancement when it comes to the game of football. They have imbibed the culture of learning more and improving on what they do. So it's no longer business as usual for some leagues, especially in the North Africans. If you check the Moroccan, Algerian, and the Egyptian league, there's a huge difference in how things are operated. In fact, when you check their facilities, you'll be amazed and wowed. I mean, we still see stadiums that cannot pass for a training facility in South Africa being used in the MPFL. Yeah. Till tomorrow, there's a particular team in Nigeria that still plays in a university stadium, in a stadium that belongs to a university. They do not have a stadium of their own. Till tomorrow in Nigeria, we still have some teams that play in a stadium where there is no cover, and they play league games there. So that is why some of them consider our whole league to be a joke. Because in terms of facility, some of our facilities cannot pass for a training facility for some teams in Algeria, in Egypt, in South Africa, and even in Morocco. I mean, Morocco is the king of all now in terms of facility. Nobody comes close. Even South Africa now sees Morocco as a major challenger. Tell me why CAF will not take their competitions to Morocco. Tell me why FIFA would want Africa to host a World Cup and they will not take it to Morocco or South Africa. Why? Because the facilities are top-notch. It's not just about what the government owns. Private individuals, private clubs, they now have top-notch fields. I mean, it's not necessary you do grass. Some are doing synthetic and they're doing fine. In fact, some are doing hybrid. It is some part that is not too good or does not grow well. They just put artificial there. And there are some places where, especially in some places, the goalkeeper area is mostly now artificial. Because, you know, grass will always, because it will get depleted because the keeper is always there, standing in one place. But for other places, you can do grass. But then, why are we still backward in this country? I so much give Remo Stars this accolade. It's not like nobody complained about Remo Stars Stadium. I mean, I don't see any publication. Nobody I don't see. I don't think I saw any publication.
And the walk up and say, "Come on,
we want to innovate." I mean, that's innovation. For me, that's common sense.
That's common sense.
But unfortunately, I mean, you sit in some stadiums and then by the time you stand up, you have to need a tailor to help you sew your I mean, trouser, because the chairs are. Let's just skip it here. But I think big kudos to Rivers United for getting here.
Yeah.
And they are going to face a very steep competition against Pyramids.
But how much of Coach Finidi George experience can be imbibed in this player going into this competition? Because you look at most of them right now, this is the first time experience. But Coach Finidi George has had this experience, over the years with the big clubs, and also he knows how such competitions would be, for these players. But how much of his experience would be imbibed and we'll see, on the field of play going into this one over the weekend?
Honestly, there's nothing you can tell a player on how to win a trophy or how to play a game that is more than your own tactical setup on the field of play. I mean, there's nothing you can tell them. It might just be sermon. I mean, you tell them from now till tomorrow, it's like you are preaching. But then if you give them what to do on the field of play and it works, that is when what you have said really matters. Until then, it is just usual sermon they listen to. So I feel like his tactical setup, he must have seen how Pyramids play. That is why you have a scout. That is why you have match analysts what they do is to go out there and see who is the biggest player in this team, what is their strength, do they play from the back, or do they do long balls, do we have to worry about the goalkeeper being an impediment in the game? Maybe he's a fantastic goalkeeper and then he saves the ball. As a striker, this goalkeeper definitely knows how to do this and do that. So when you get the ball, this is how you score goal. It goes against this goalkeeper. When you have a penalty, you don't play to the right. It's always good on the right. You play to the left. These are the things you must have done before the game. I mean, 2 weeks to the game, you already know the skeletal framework.
Immediately you got the draw. This should be your homework.
This should be your homework. You already studied the teams you are going to play. And you are going to do follow-up research on the team too. You watched them last week. This is how they play. What if they are not playing that way against you? So you must prepare for eventualities. We are playing against them. This is what they do. But if things change on the field of if you think they are the slow-paced team, they don't run too much, they pass the ball around. Once you realize that they are passing the ball around but they are running, this is what you have to do. There are ways, because you will be dazed on the field of play that before you know it, they have scored 4 goals. And then you'll be wondering, that's exactly what happened to Remo Stars. They prepared for something different. You could see that when they traveled to South Africa, it was a little bit different because they now understand, this is how we should have handled the game. But it's a different ball game for every team. When you are you don't prepare the same way for all the teams. You prepare differently. But for every approach, there's a backup plan. There has to be option A, option B, option C. So if one option does not work, you fall back to the other. So it now depends on the quality of the coach. That even with the same 11 players on the field of play, you can play the 3 different or 4 different formations while still there, without making a change. How about when you make a change? So when you make a change, your change should bring a change to the field, to what you are doing on the field. As long as you can do that, I think you have the capacity to slug it out against any team on the continent.
All right. Come on. What a way to go. Just drop your predictions right there. What do you think about that game between the defending champions, Pyramid, against Rivers United? There you have it, the winners since 2000. And, to my greatest surprise, when I was looking at this chart, I just smiled and I saw the People's Elephant, 2003, back-to-back. And yeah, they are crumbling. Certain players have salary or not certain have salary. How do you go back? How do you go from being a powerhouse in CAF CAF Champions League statement to writing statement of paying players half salary or not paying half salary? But it is what it is, and we hope to see our Nigerian football back on the big stage yet again. Let's move away from that and let's look at the draw quickly, because we must discuss about the Premier League. I'm sure the fans are itching to listen to Samson Balogun's predictions and also analysis ahead of Arsenal game against Tottenham Hotspur. Also, other games are coming thick and faster in the Premier League. Samson Balogun, quick one. The FIFA draw a thrilling playoff path for the final 2026 World Cup spot. We have 6 spots left, but let's look at this one coming through from the Intercontinental stage. It's sad that DR Congo just knocked the Super Eagles of Nigeria out. We would have been on this phase, but it is what it is. New Caledonia are going to play to Jamaica and also Bolivia against Suriname, and that is what it is at this point in time. Samson Balogun, for you, who is edging out and picking up a spot in this part?
If Nigeria had qualified, we wouldn't have played the semi-final. We would have walked straight to the final because of the ranking. The ranking, the highest ranked team on the continent gets straight to the final. But unfortunately, DR Congo will have to play a competition. We see Jamaica and New Caledonia is going to be a tough encounter. Yes, you see them as 2 weak teams, but you cannot call them weak teams for being at this stage of the competition. So it's going to be something really big. I think Bolivia will hedge Suriname anyway. I think Bolivia, they have that edge. They have always been a problem for Brazil and Argentina. So I don't think Suriname should be a problem for them. But then, if you look at Jamaica and New Caledonia, I really cannot say who's going to win. But I feel like New Caledonia will hedge Jamaica on the African scene as we speak. All of a sudden, from somewhere, they started something. And they kept believing in what they started until it boomed and then gave them a spot at the World Cup. I mean, that says a lot about how improved they are as a team. And New Caledonia, I bet that so many African football lovers, they have not really heard of New Caledonia as a football nation. But now you have them, they are slugging it out, and then definitely going to be one of the teams to give DR Congo a run for their money, and might just stop them from qualifying for the World Cup. So it's going to be a big one between these two teams. But I see New Caledonia edging Jamaica. So on this end, on this side of the part 1 and part 2, I see Bolivia moving to the semi-finals, and New Caledonia also moving on. And if you check the case of Iraq, I think is a very big one right there. But I feel like it's still a possibility for Iraq too. We have not seen too much of them lately, especially when it comes to sports. But it's really nice that having gone through the war and some other things and the civil unrest in their country, they are really coming back to do something really nice. So it's going to be a very big one. But let's just see how that pans out.
All right. Let's look at the European scene quickly, because some fans were talking about Sweden being part of this playoff, and the only reason why you're seeing Sweden in this playoff is because of the Nations League. When you go back to the Nations League, you look at where they have, in the Nations League, that automatically qualifies them, to have a chance in the playoff, and that is only the reason why you are seeing them in this bracket. But Santos Balogun, this is going to be massive, to see these teams, and you wonder who's pulling this one through, who's coming out victorious. But for you, and let me just ask you quickly, because of our time, what do you think is standing out and getting a ticket from this bracket?
Well, if you look at what it looks like, I think Spain will have to, Italy will have to go back to the drawing board and see what changes they can make.
I agree.
It hasn't been this bad for Italy since I got to know them, but in the last 6-7 years, it's been one hell of a roller coaster for them in terms of management change. They have had to change coaches, I think, 2 times, and they have still not gotten the kind of results. And that still does not mean talent does not abound in the Italian Serie A. But then being able to pick the right set of players and bringing them together is the challenge for Italy. So I see Italy getting past Northern Ireland. I see Wales getting past Bosnia and Herzegovina. Ukraine and Sweden is going to be really keenly contested. In fact, I cannot pick between these two teams.
I'm going to pick Ukraine because Sweden has really struggled for me.
I don't know who to pick between these two teams. But then, in terms of consistency lately, I think Ukraine has done way better than Sweden, but they only got a chance because of the UEFA Nations League and their placement on that. For Poland and Albania, I think Robert Lewandowski would want another shot at the World Cup, the final shot at the World Cup. So this might just be his time, and might just be able to cycle all other players like Lukas Piszczek and some other ones and say, look, let's give it our last push and wrap it up. So on that hand, on this side, I feel like Poland might just pull to the next phase. And Turkey and Romania, I think for Turkey, they have some quality players. I don't know why they are still struggling a little bit. If you check in the Galatasaray team and of course Besiktas, Istanbul, Besiktas, you see that they have some quality players there. They should be able to pull something together and then get some things done. So it's going to be a little bit tight for them, but they should be able to. For Czech and Republic of Ireland too, I think Republic of Ireland, they have an edge.
I would love to see that man Parrot play at the World Cup.
Actually. So they have an edge, and Parrot has been a revelation this season, and I think it deserves the world outlook that he's looking for. Denmark and North Macedonia. Macedonia is not. When you look at the games they have played against the likes of Sweden, against the likes of England, Spain, and the big wigs in the European scene, I think they have really struggled. They have considered scandalously in some of these games. But seeing them taking it seriously at this time, taking World Cup qualification seriously at this time means a lot. And they might just give Denmark a run for their money. But when you look at Denmark also, they have a chance. Slovakia and Kosovo, I think Slovakia should move on. I think they made me remember the likes of Marek Hamsik and the likes.
All right. Because of our time, that's the bracket right there for the World Cup, sport. But we're going to give you more updates right there as the game unfolds. Let's move away from that. Let's talk about the Premier League quickly because of our time. Let's look at the fixtures in the Premier League. Thank you, my producer. We have Burnley against Chelsea. Now, situation report just dropping in is that Enzo Maresca has said that Cole Palmer has fractured his toe after an accident at home. He's probably not available for Burnley, Barcelona or Arsenal for sure. He caught his twist fractured. Cole Palmer was almost back from the groin injury, but now he has this small issue. So for Chelsea faithful expecting Cole Palmer to be part of that game, is not going to be available. We have Bournemouth against West Ham, Brighton against Brentford, Fulham against Sunderland, Liverpool against Nottingham Forest, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Crystal Palace, Newcastle against Manchester City. Also, situation report popping in just a few minutes on the show. Rodri is not going to be part of the game for Manchester City. Something about to go because of our time. Let's start off with Chelsea's game. How do you see that one against Burnley? Quickly.
Well, I think early kickoff really does not favor some of the teams in the EPL. It's a challenge. Kopama will be out, but then they have the likes of Estival, Moise Caicedo,
fantastic.
Moise Caicedo and some other players to work with, so that should not be a problem for them. Chelsea, Burnley, they have been one of the toughest teams in the last 5 games in the APL, and Chelsea should really be wary of what they bring to the table. Maybe they don't win games, but then they give you problems. And Chelsea sometimes they melt when they play against teams with tough, decisions, with tough skin like this. So I think it might be a problem for Chelsea. Chelsea might not win, but on paper, we see Chelsea winning this one.
All right, let's talk about the big game on Sunday quickly. Arsenal are going to play to Spurs. And you said earlier on the show that this is a make or match season for Arsenal because you need to look at the next games for them.
They will be playing Bayern Munich and after that they play Chelsea.
So quick one, this game is the derby. How do you see this one pattern for both teams?
I don't think this should be a problem for Arsenal. The only missing player that they would miss in this game will be at the heart of their defense, and Gabriel Magalhaes. And so far this season, I think in some cases they've had to play in Campi, they've had to play, I'm trying to remember his name, is this South American in some positions.
Mosquera.
Mosquera, in some positions, and he's done so well, filling up for I think William Saliba at the time. So he should be able to pair with William Saliba, and with his grit and energy, he should be able to pull through. But I don't think Tottenham should give Arsenal too much problems. Tottenham, to their level of inconsistency is out of this world this season. They have not been consistent. People would have thought that since they got Xavi Simons, Mohamed Kudus, they should be able to. Yes, they might score against Arsenal. But then, I think Arsenal will score more goals. So it should be like a 2-1 victory for Arsenal.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. But before I go on Monday, it's going to be Manchester United playing home to Everton. So why not drop your predictions in the comment section and you stand a chance to win something on Monday right here on the show. I'm Paul Abe to the one of me. I say a big thank you to the crew and also the producer. And also I want to say a big thank you to Samson Balogun for dropping his own expertise. And also, what's the weekend going to be like for you quickly?
Well, I think it's not going to be too stressful. There are too many English Premier League games to be seen. And of course, some MC duties to attend to anyway. So it shouldn't be a boring weekend.
Come on. All right. That's all we can take on the show. Have a wonderful day. And make sure you have a blessed weekend. Stay blessed and see you on Monday. Bye for now.